when you were there, how long were you in the country, and then were you there the whole time? You couldn't go on R&R, nothing, right? Just
No, we
until.
were, we were there for 9 months, from like August to April or May, if I remember right,
Yeah,
2014, 2015. And we were on a little border post. If you go all the way west on the Euphrates to where Iraq meets Syria, there's
yeah.
like a little town called Husayba. We were at the border checkpoint, and it was a small little place. It was only like a company, which is not the largest military unit. It was quite small. It was 4 platoons and attachments, and it was all like a big sandbag hexco barrier monstrosity. But it was all like really pulled together pretty quick, because like the group that invaded came in and they held the town, and then we showed up and like dug in and let the guys who had took the town, they left. They had done their thing, and we kind of came in for what's called a RIP, or relief in place.
Okay. So when I talk to a lot of people, military people. Um, how do you think that war was conducted? Like, did America fight that war properly?
It depends on it and what lens you want to put to that. So it's like tactically, you know, arguably the country was taken well. Like the push through
Right.
Iraq to invade it, that was a very well executed, assault.
Yeah.
But if you look at like a larger lens, like did this make sense? It's like it really didn't. It was actually, been understood to be a huge mistake, and it should never have happened. So if you look at that, it's like, yeah, we took down this country really quickly, and if our intent was just to lay waste to it and leave, then yeah, that would have been a good idea. But the way we ended up taking it, in hindsight, it wasn't such a good idea, because a lot of what we did was just roll over the old Baathists, completely yank them all out by the teeth, and then slowly try to install some other government. And that's a foolish way to go about
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of a lot of times that okay, a lot of like what I've read from generals and other foreign policy experts, is commentary that finding some of those Baathists to work with would have helped create a more stable Iraq right off the bat. Not completely leveling the country might not would have been like a better idea than kind of the shock and awe approach that we had, because it's extremely difficult to rebuild after that. As you can see, like there's to this day it's racked in turmoil.
Is
So
there any other way you can win a war instead of shock and awe?
I don't know. I think that's
I don't know
probably
what
that's
to know.
probably the easiest. Okay, militarily, if you're really trying to like take a regime out militarily, yeah, you can. I think we kind of did that with Gaddafi. Arguably in Libya, there's leaning more heavily on proxies, the way we
Yeah.
did with ISIS. Most of the fighting that we did against ISIS was done with proxies and done with our partners and people who trusted us and supported us, who we later betrayed. But that's another way to do it. Or just not invading, just sanction the living bejesus out of them and let them sit, and it becomes a war of attrition. It's like
Yeah.
why would we want to go to war with Iran right now? Why would we want to go to get into an armed, engaged conflict with a very heavily militarized place like Iran or anybody that has a strong standing army, when we
Yeah.
when we don't have to engage in that?
Do you think it's you know, you think it's America's place to go in and save people like the Iraqis or the Afghans or the Syrians? I mean, being the superpower of the world, is that something which America, it's said that like America should go to war so that war doesn't come to America. Is that something that you know rings kind of true with you?
You know, I want to argue from different perspectives, because part of me thinks no one country should be, exerting their force and their will onto the rest of the world to such a degree, because a lot of times when we do that, it's to serve our own national self-interest, our own foreign policy objectives, which don't always align with the rest of the world. But then you have conflicts like Armenia right now, and that like that pop up that create a lot of human suffering in the world. Yeah. So if the United Nations is unable to act, then then NATO or some type of coalition should. Like Bosnia should not have been allowed to continue for as long as it did. Syria should not have ended this way, yeah. But what it shows you is what really happens when you waste your political capital on something like Iraq. That this did not need an invasion. This entire situation did not warrant an invasion by a large coalition. But by spending all of our global political power there and making a huge mistake, it limited our ability to involve ourselves, or at least lead coalition building for future conflicts, something like Syria.